today we are making Dutch oven pork carnitas. We're gonna be using this pork shoulder. It is 4.1 pounds, but there's a bone in it. It feels a little wet, but it's vacuum sealed, so I don't know what that's about. The sell-by date is in 4 days, so we should be good there. But I've never made a pork shoulder before. We've made a lot of pork loin here. I actually did a pork loin on the channel as well. But every time we watched a video about how to make pulled pork or a pork recipe, they always say, don't use the pork loin even though it looks tempting. Use a shoulder or a butt, and we've never done that. So today we will for the first time, and I'm very excited. So this recipe is pretty simple, and I will have it linked in the description, but basically we are going to mix up some seasonings in the food processor, and then we're gonna basically just, how many times can I say basically? Then we're gonna just dump it over the meat, and and we're gonna do like a little dry rub on the meat too, and then we're gonna throw it in the oven, and it cooks for 4.5 hours. Fingers crossed that mine is done in time, but this recipe is for a piece of meat around the same size as mine. Mine is 0.1 pounds larger, so we should be good there. And if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I have a tendency to like really overcook my meat. Everything always gets like 10 plus degrees hotter than it needs to be, so I'm not gonna do any extra time. I am gonna make the oven a little bit warmer than the recipe calls for, just because I've found that when I follow recipes like exactly, a lot of times the food's not cooked on time. So I'm gonna make the oven a little bit warmer, but other than that, we're sticking to basically everything that this recipe says. So the first thing we wanna do is start adding some ingredients to our food processor. And some of those are ingredients that I forgot to get out, so I'll be right back. All right, so for the first step, we wanted to add onion, garlic, lime juice, orange juice, and hot sauce to the food processor. So I have all those things in here now. If you're curious, I'm using Chipotle flavored hot sauce. We get it in a big bottle, so we put it in this squeezy thing. I am using fresh juice. We didn't have oranges, we had clementines, and they were starting to go bad, so I used those. And just a little fun tip, we bought these gimmicky little like juicers. I actually didn't even use this today. It's easier to just use a fork, like you hold the half of the fruit. I guess I should have shown you that, but it's too late now. You cut the fruit in half, you hold the half, you know, like flat side down, and then you like spin a fork into it. I saw a chef doing that on TikTok, and it saves money because you don't have to buy this stupid shit that clogs up your drawers, and it's just as fast. It's actually, well, it's a little slower when you're me, but you get more juice out of the fruit that way, so it's just better all around. So anyway, I've got, can you see? Yeah. So I've got all my stuff in the food processor, so we're gonna pulse it like they say and mix it all together. Alright, so I did a bad job of following the directions already. For the sauce mixture or the marinade, they said to pulse it a few times until it resembles a thick liquid. I just pressed the pulse button and I let the thing go, so I guess we've already kind of messed up, but I'm sure it'll still taste good. Also, by the way, do you guys use the onion cores? Because something about them weirds me out, so I always just like cut around it and then I throw it out. Anyway, now we're ready for our next step, which is to mix together our spices. So in this little bowl, we've got oregano, which they want you to crush in your hand. I'm actually using Mexican oregano because we had it in the house already, so I thought it would be fitting. I will link the Mexican oregano though if you're interested, because it's kind of fun. Anyway, we've got oregano, cumin, chili powder, salt, and pepper. So I'm just gonna mix this up with a fork so that it's kind of evenly distributed, because we're gonna be rubbing this on the pork. Done. Okay, so now is the part that I have been dreading. We have to take the pork out of its packaging, and I have to cut off all the nasty fat, because if you look at this guy, it's got a pretty thick layer of fat, and I believe this might not cook down. That's my understanding. If it would, I would leave it, but it says on the recipe to trim it off, so we're gonna cut as much of this off as I can. I'm not gonna show you that part because I think it's probably pretty boring. So I will see you guys when this is all nice and trimmed up in the Dutch oven. Is that what it's supposed to smell like? I think it's supposed to smell like that. Yeah. Alright guys, so I cut off all that really thick, gross fat, and interestingly enough, I kind of think that might have been where some of that bad smell was coming from. So I don't know if that's a thing, but it seemed like fat has an interesting odor all unto itself. So anyway, now we want to pat the pork and kind of dry out, I guess, the juices on the surface so we can apply our rub, and I believe that's why they call it a dry rub. Or it's because we're using dry spices, I don't know. But I'm just gonna try to dry this off a little bit. It's actually not as wet as I expected it to be, and I don't know if I'm gonna need all those paper towels I just ripped off, so that's great. Do you guys get like freaked out when you cook meat and like try really hard to not let any of the germs get on your kitchen? Because like I definitely try my hardest to not get it on anything, which is kind of unrealistic. I should probably anticipate getting some germs on like the counter, but it really freaks me out just because it's like raw meat can kill you, and I think I worry about it a little bit too much. much. I don't know if you saw, but this is all the fat we've got left. I don't want to cut off too much because I know that the fat provides flavor. I feel like I should have cut this off actually. Okay, good. So I think we're ready for our rub. And I cannot wait to wash my hands, you guys. But I want to press this into the meat. We're going to be adding that liquid marinade, so I'm sure that's going to wash some of this off, but I'm going to do my best. Ooh, that's a little wet actually. Pat that again. I think that maybe because this cut has a bone in it, it's going to be juicier than a pork loin. Because the pork loin, if you haven't made that before, which probably everybody has, but it dries out pretty quickly. And so I think that's why a lot of people don't like to use it for pulled pork. Ding. Ding again. Yeah, so now we just want to pour the seasoning. I am gonna rinse my hands really quickly first because I don't want to get germs on the food processor. And I just realized I really should preheat the oven now because we're gonna pour the marinade over and then we're gonna cook it. So I'm gonna turn my oven on and then we're gonna add the marinade. All right, and on it goes. Nice. All right, so once the oven reaches temperature, I'm gonna throw this in there. So we are gonna cook it with the lid on. So after 4.5 hours, we should be able to pull it apart and it should be fully cooked. So I will see you guys when we're ready to shred the pork. All right, guys, it's been 4.5 long hours. I just took the pork out of the oven, so I thought I'd show you the big reveal. There we go. All right, I cheated. I already lifted the lid before. The fluids were all bubbling and simmering, and it was quite a sight. And then I realized that you guys would probably appreciate seeing that, but they've since cooled down, so I'm sorry about that. But our meat should be cooked. I can see the bone coming off, so we want to pull this with a couple forks. But because this Dutch oven is a little bit delicate, and it's got that coating, I think I'm gonna pull this in a separate bowl of some sort. I changed my mind. I think it'll be easier to just do it in here. And I'm gonna have to just try to be really careful not to burn myself on the sides of the pot. Oh, wow. Guys, I hardly even touched this and it's shredding already. And it looks amazing. Oh, you can't see. Sorry. This is so dangerous. This is so hot. Give me a thumbs up because I'm risking burning myself. This is gonna make such a good taco. So you guys don't need to see me pull all of this. So I will shred the rest. It will probably take about 10 seconds because it's so tender. And then I will show you guys how we're gonna build our tacos. Okay, these are messy, but we have tortillas, pork, homemade salsa that Billy made, that we're just about out of, and shredded Mexican cheese from Costco. We have a block of Colby Jack, but it's, I didn't feel like unwrapping it. So these are kind of wet. We're gonna have to eat them fast. All right, so we got Billy.
We have a deluxe extra meat taco here.
I make them big because I don't see the reason in eating multiple wraps.
I prefer them smaller.
We'll blur that out. Did you add hot sauce?
No, I feel like it's spicy without it.
Well, there is some hot sauce in it. You want to get me? This is like a really awkward thing to shoot. I can't hold the camera while I eat this. This is a big one. Happy 20 days till Cinco de Mayo. Okay, cheers everybody. Oh, this is a wet guy. Take that, Gordon Ramsay. Are we still rolling?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give myself another A on this one. I know that's a lot of A's, but I've earned them. Do you want to take another bite and give your rating?
I'm gonna go with A+.
Oh!
There's a recipe that I've made a bunch of times. Similar, but I've used pork loin, and it sometimes comes out dry.
Are we talking about the crock pot pork you made?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like that, but one, it tastes much better, so whatever seasoning you did is amazing.
I think it's all the citrus juice.
I think it's
clementine.
The lime. I taste a lot of lime.
There's also clementines. It's probably a little bit better if you have a real orange because the clementine has like a dessert kind of taste. But
it also is like very like juicy. It's dripping out, which is a little excessive, but it's like so good.
You heard it here, folks. It's so good. So anyway, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Leave me a comment with the taco emoji. But thank you for watching. Try this recipe. It's really good. It's endorsed by both of us, and we did not write it.